Now, welcome to another Star Wars Visions review. This time we're going to be taking a look at discussing the fourth episode, The Village Bride. And I'll kick it off by saying that I liked everything about this episode.
Oh my gosh, it was my favorite so far. Mind you, again, I've been watching them in order, and I've only watched 4, so yeah, this is definitely my favorite so far.
Say, of the first 4, this is my favorite. It might be my favorite overall, but we'll get to that as we go through the episodes. Like I said, I enjoyed everything about this one. From the music, to the animation, to the story, to the characters. Fantastic all around.
It was just so beautifully done. It felt Star Wars.
Yeah, I think of all of the first 4, especially this one I like. You could pluck this right out of we talk about the canon for fun, but this one could certainly easily be part of the canon.
This one seamlessly fits into canon.
Yeah.
I mean, her master was killed. We know that she's in hiding.
Yeah, shortly after the Clone Wars again. Sometimes she
was just a Padawan who was left.
Yeah, I like when she cuts off her braid and kind of seems to I'm going to embrace the Jedi and probably end up getting killed somewhere along the way for it. But hey,
she's
let's not think of the sad
ending
down the line. Yeah, exactly.
Watching her grow. I mean, for someone who didn't say much during the entire time,
No, sometimes less is more. That's one of the cases where just everything that, like I said, from the music. The simplicity of the story. Sometimes that's more is better. Sometimes, or more is less is more. I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I didn't care for the music as much in the last, the twins, but the music in this one was beautiful. Was spot on. It fit so well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't know that it was like quote unquote Star Wars music, but it didn't matter. It just fit the story perfectly.
Right. Well, it fit the environment that they chose to go with.
Yeah.
A village who has very symbiotic understanding in relationship that they grow with nature.
Yeah.
They change with. They don't try to change nature, but nature changes with them.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful, society with nature themes. We had the themes of her growing as overcoming what was a horrific experience for her. She went back to her master's old village, and she came to learn and understand the principles that he must have been teaching her.
Yeah, like I said, a very simple story, but just beautifully told all around.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't look up in advance who made this, which studio produced this one, but the animation style has to be along the lines of some of my favorite animes to watch. Just how everything is drawn, the beauty of it, even the details, everything was just on point for how I like to watch my anime. If the story is good but the anime the images aren't great, I'll still watch it, but I'm not happy most of the time. But this one was a perfect marriage of a great story, a great audio and sound work, and fantastic visuals. I like that they got the droids, the battle droids, just right.
Yeah, they even had Matthew Wood doing the voices, who did from the Clone Wars and other places as well.
Well, it was great because the mask is thrown in the air, and they're like,
they're enchanted by it. I love. Yeah, it was. They nailed the battle droid. At least Clone Wars battle droids kind of. Right, Clone Wars battle droids are very silly compared to prequel battle droids. It's one of those things that irks me slightly about Clone Wars is just kind of how goofy the battle droids are, because they're not really that way so much in the prequels, but it's a minor thing, but I appreciated it here for sure.
Do you think she got that mask when her master died? You think that's why she wears it, to cover it up?
I'm wondering, that's the thing about this. There's so many questions. Not that you need them to be answered, but it draws so many questions that you can kind of infer some of the answers, and so yeah, I think the mask she puts on after her master is killed by Sidious. I mean, the sound when she has that flashback. Just when we see the one red saber, it is very similar to the scream, the dark side scream or whatever that Sidious does in Revenge of the Sith. Very, not identical, but very similar to the two.
I wonder if one of those who he killed right off was possibly was her master.
I guess. It could be one of the 3 that he...
One of the red shirts?
Sadly, yeah, they were treated like red shirts in that scene.
I also find it interesting. Do you think that everyone in the village, because of that relationship they have with nature, do you think they can all feel the Force?
That's an interesting question. We know that the bride and the groom there, as we'll call them, they felt the Majina when they did their little ritual, I guess it was.
Well, see, that's why I wonder if the whole village can do it, because it seemed like part of their traditional wedding ceremony was to go up to that stone and touch it.
Yeah, and then they
see the memories of the planet.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, either the planet is just bestowing them because of their symbiotic nature, or maybe their whole culture has some sort of relationship and can feel the Force in that way.
It's very possible. I mean,
based on their lifestyle choices.
Just based on the fact that they've tried so hard to live in,
symbiotic nature being one with their planet.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. I don't think they're all to the point where they're going to be out there. Could be Jedi. They're not. They're not necessarily Force sensitive to that extent, but I think they all have a connection to the Force where they can all feel it in a way that maybe your average person can. And clearly, her master, was strong enough with the Force to go on to become a Jedi.
That makes a lot of sense. And he bestowed those principles onto her, and then she came full circle. She came back to the village. So, what did you think of that wedding ceremony?
I thought it was, beautiful, wasn't it?
It was, but
simple.
When
but
we got married, you didn't let me sit on a chair on your back and
I didn't
and carry me all the way.
Yeah, I was okay with your feet being dirty, even though they weren't. So you had shoes on, so
I did.
Yes,
but I thought the costuming. Oh my goodness! All of the clothes that they wore, everything was beautiful.
Yeah.
In this episode.
Yeah, and I really like when Star Wars, delves into other cultures like this and other views of the Force and has other names for it. One example would be the Night Sisters and how they kind of see the Force differently and use it differently. Obviously, these are not Night Sisters here, but it's the same kind of thing where you get this kind of you have this galaxy full of millions, billions of planets and civilizations or little cultures are all going to see it differently. They're all going to have their different names for the Force, different way they connect to it, and that's one of the things I really enjoyed. One of the many things I enjoyed about this episode is just seeing the little slice of a different culture and how they interpret the Force and how it becomes a big part of their lives and how they see their own planet even.
Yeah, it was just such a beautiful imagery. And
yeah.
And I do like her what looked like a tauntaun horn headpiece.
Maybe it was. Maybe that's where they originate from, and then they went somewhere much colder.
Maybe. They can kind of be wherever, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of Star Wars species seem to planet to planet, so...
Yeah.
It could be a distant relation to them somehow.
So, my gripe about this episode. Only gripe.
A gripe, okay.
Yeah.
I don't even have one.
My gripe is that I don't have more of this.
Okay. I can share that gripe. Because usually I can find a gripe about anything, as a lot of people know. I'll point something out. I wasn't a fan. This time I've got nothing, other than, I would take more of this.
Even for being a short... And it was the longest short that I've watched on there. I think this one had the longest runtime so far.
I think so, yeah.
I still wish that this was longer. I would have taken this as a whole feature to see a little bit more of the before. I don't even need a little bit more of the before.
Yeah, like I was saying.
Just a little bit more. They could have added more flashbacks in there, given us more of the culture, and I would have been a whole 100% for it because it was just such a great episode.
Like I said before, less is more in some cases. And though, I don't think you need the backstory here because the story is just so well told as is. Mm-hmm. It is one of those where if they made a book or a comic out of this, I know they're making a book out of the first episode, kind of, or inspired by. Mm-hmm. If they did that, I would be more than happy to
I would take a manga version of this for sure.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see more of the relationship she had with her sister. Her sister's like, I'm willing to fight, but everyone else in the village is kind of understanding that war doesn't do any good for their people, it doesn't go good for their planet. But is it okay to sit back and let that, and let your sister be taken as collateral?
Well, that's the great dilemma of the Jedi, and the one she kind of faces too.
Mm-hmm.
Jedis don't want to fight. Obviously, they use the Force for knowledge and defense, never attack. And so, even she's got to ask, well, what's the, if I interfere here and I don't take care of the problem, then I'm, it's kind of that deleted scene from The Last Jedi, which is probably would have been one of the best parts of The Last Jedi, when the Raiders show up on the island and Luke's like, hey, if you're going to go telling Rey, if you're going to go down there and stop them, are you going to be here tomorrow when those Raiders come back? And it's the same kind of thing here.
Mm-hmm. Teach a man to fish.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing to hand somebody a fish and be like, here, you can eat for a day, but it doesn't do them any good when you're not there tomorrow.
But don't worry, she wiped out all of the Raiders. But like you said before, she has her principles as a Jedi, and even he mentioned, I don't care about your oaths.
Yeah.
I was like, nice.
It was, like I said, all around, I have, other than I would like more of it, I have no complaints.
No complaints, no. I liked this one from start to finish. It was engaging.
The music again.
Oh gosh, the music was so good. I mean, I said it 100 times, I feel like, but this was such a beautiful episode to watch, between the gorgeous animation, the visuals, oh my god, I even loved her shoes. Her shoes that sort of adapted so that she could move more freely.
Oh, okay, her shoes. I thought you were kind of talking about the...
No.
I was like, she wasn't wearing shoes, was she? That's why we had to carry her up the mountain.
No, I'm talking about our unnamed Jedi's shoes.
Okay.
All of the visions so far, somebody's had to say that they have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, I mean...
It seems a little
It feels redundant
until
you realize that each one is trying to make their own, you know... It feels like we keep hearing it over and over until you realize each studio made that decision probably independent of knowing all the other ones were going to do the exact same thing.
I don't know. I think they all got together and thought it'd be funny.
Maybe.
Maybe that was like a decree handed down from Disney Lucasfilm. They're like, by the way, you're making these. Each one of you has to have a way to fit this in.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got for you this time.
I think so.
Now it's your turn to take to the comments. Tell us what you thought of this episode. Do you agree with us? Is it one of the best? Maybe the best of the series? Or are we crazy and you didn't enjoy it at all? Until next time, then. Thanks for watching.